Just that we weren't doing it. Yeah.
But it's just so funny because women put so much emphasis on how we look.
Yeah.
And guys do not care.
No.
Not
they really
at all.
don't.
No.
Funny.
Yeah, and we try so hard to, and
which makes it like, who are we doing it for then? And of course, we're talking about cisgender women who are. Cisgender women who are heterosexual is the perspective that we're both coming from.
Yes.
When we say like guys don't care, girls, but all that kind of thing. But and if anyone isn't familiar with the term cisgender, that's when you identify as the sex that you were born as. So I am biologically female and I identify as female, for anybody who's not familiar with that terminology. Anyway, that's a whole other show.
But yeah, and it goes to the whole influencing people. Yeah. Because, and even, I mean, there's so much you can discuss, so much information out there, but like engagement, being engaged, that was something that was created by jewelry companies to make you buy jewelry. Yeah, absolutely. It's not something
and then there was the promise ring that came along after that.
Exactly.
I might propose to you someday, so I'm going to give you a ring now.
Right. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it makes you want that because you're like, oh, that's really pretty.
Yeah, shiny.
I need a ring. And like a push present.
What's a push present?
Exactly.
Oh, for for labor. Yeah.
Now I'm looking back, I was like, I didn't get a present.
All I got was a kid.
I got Subway. I got a coffee an hour after.
Present. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these things that just make us think that we need or want more.
Right. Mm-hmm. And like we had talked about in a previous episode, if we just sat alone with our own thoughts, none of those things would be relevant.
No.
None of them.
No. It's true. Not a single thing. In fact, I meditate daily, and it's funny because stuff like that does come into mind, like because you're trying to quiet your mind, but when you actually do achieve those moments of like, I'm not thinking about anything in terms of problems or stuff that's going on or whatever. Yeah, none of that stuff matters.
No.
All you're thinking about is like, why is my shoulder so tense?
Yeah. Right?
Probably because I want that ring so bad. I never got a push present and it still hurts.
Yeah. Oh. I got money at Christmas as a present. And I've held on to it. And I'm on a couple of groups actually on Facebook. So there's this website called AliExpress. And you can buy items from AliExpress, which is a Chinese business. And it takes 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month for these items to come, but they are like a fraction of the cost of things that are available here. Even though they all come from the same place, that's more like a warehouse and you're buying directly from the seller.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm on a couple of these groups, and these groups are created to find the hidden gems that are in this AliExpress website.
Okay.
And there are suppliers that create knockoff versions of expensive things, and they hide them in hidden links within this website. So you can go onto the website and you can look up like a pair of sneakers, and you see a plain pair of sneakers, like say white sneakers, and they have no markings on them. But in reality, those sneakers could actually be a hidden link to like knockoff Nike sneakers.
So how do you find these things?
So these people who run the groups are in contact with these suppliers. They have their own personal supplier that they talk to.
Okay.
And these suppliers will say, okay, here's the link. If you type this in the notes to the seller, you will get this item instead of what is listed.
How did these things
Isn't it ridiculous?
Wow.
So anyway, I'm on these groups. There's a couple of them that I'm a part of. And
so the people who run the groups are the people with the hookups?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's completely not right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say what the group is or who the people are or anything. Yeah. But there's thousands of people in these groups.
Wow.
And a lot of them are housewives. And a lot of them like to look very nice for not very much money. And so they have these suppliers in China who make bags and shoes and clothing that are name brand, quote unquote. They look identical to these. So you could buy a purse for $1,500 for real, or you could buy this knockoff that has all of the same things on it, just made by a different person for $300.
Wow.
So this is what these hidden links are.
Yep. I still wouldn't pay $300 for a purse myself personally.
Exactly.
However,
right.
if that's what you're into, then.
So over Christmas, you see people going crazy over all of these things because they want to get, and like grandmothers are buying these miniature Louis Vuitton bags for their granddaughters. Yeah. And I'm like, this 2-year-old's walking around with a Louis Vuitton bag. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so I'm getting caught up in the hype. And I'm like, oh, I really like this bag. And ooh, that's really pretty. And oh my God, look at that.
Right.
So for the last few weeks, I'm looking at these bags. I'm looking at different bags. I'm looking at all of the bags. And I'm like, okay, I've got this much money. And they're within the budget. Like they actually have different versions of these bags. So there is 1-in-1 ratio, which is almost identical to the real thing. There is an in-between, which is a step down. Right. And then there's the budget bag, which is the lowest.
The budget
Still
bag.
Decent quality. Looks like it, but not as good as the real thing.
Right.
So I'm looking at the in-betweens because I've got some money. And I put the thing in the cart, and I'm just about to hit buy. And I'm like, no.
Good.
No.
I'm like on the edge of my seat.
I'm like, I don't want this. This is not what I want. And I'm like, if I bought this bag and I had a Louis Vuitton bag, living in Amherst, Nova Scotia,
going to work at the library
as an office manager, I'm like, no.
It just doesn't fit.
No. I'm a Walmart kind of person. Like, if anything, Aldo.
Right.
But I'm just like, and I'm like, every evening, like Alex will take Avery to hockey and we'll go to cheer, and I'll come home at like 7:30. And the girls will be getting ready for bed and they'll go to bed. So I have like half an hour to myself. And I'm like searching mad these bags. And I'm like, oh, I want this one. Oh, wait, no, I want this one. I'm like, what is wrong with me? But I'm being influenced by all of these groups. Yeah. And I'm like, I just got to leave them.
Yeah. But you don't.
I don't.
You're like addicted to it.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's funny. It is weird. It's like even the first thing I do, and I'm sure that probably 95% of the people listening, you pick up your phone first thing in the morning and you start to scroll like right away. Yeah. And I'm conscious that I'm doing it, and I'm like, why am I even doing this? Okay, well, one more scroll. Okay, one more post. That wasn't very funny though. I'll wait till I find a funny one and then I'll stop. You know what I mean? And it's like why? And even if you wake up in the middle of the night, I don't know about you, but if I'm awake for a minute, I'll just check my phone and see.
I don't do it in the middle of the night because I know as soon as I do, I'm going to be wide awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do not in the middle of the night on purpose. Yeah. Unless I'm laying in bed for like an hour and then I can't go to sleep. Then I move to the couch and turn the TV on.
Yeah. But it's so silly. It's so silly. I'm actually, for someone who works in social media, I'm actually not on... I don't post a lot. I don't post very often, and when I do, I try to make it either something, well, there are only certain things that grab me. Usually it's I have this one friend who's always posting like these hilarious things. So I always look for her posts, and they're usually just a little bit crass. You know what I mean? Just a little bit like mocking her own personality, which I can relate to. And then like sometimes an interesting article, but I find I don't usually read long ones very often. I don't know. I guess, and I really don't look at Instagram very much, although I think Instagram suits my scrolling style better because I really just look at things for a second.
I prefer Instagram for
For some reason, I really haven't I don't go to that icon on my phone for some reason.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, people in their perfect pictures.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was thinking that another thing that drives me crazy, and it's more on Facebook, is people will share articles, or I guess it's just articles, and it's not like clippings or anything, but without reading them.
Yeah.
They read just the title.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, I got to share this.
Yeah.
And recently it's
so back up for a second. How do you know that they haven't read them?
Because if you open and read, like for example, there was an article about a missing teenager in Oxford. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's right. So I opened the article, and it was like Oxford in some state in the middle of the United States. And it's a local person sharing it. So obviously they just saw Oxford, shared it.
Right.
And so I'm just like, maybe just take a minute to look at what you're
posting.
Yeah. And then another one was this video. It's a guy who I've seen doing magic videos before. He does these videos, and he's like, I bet I can't guess what your favorite color is. And then whatever he's doing kind of tricks your mind into saying that this is your favorite color, and making him right every time.
Right.
But he's showing a video about different things that you can do with energy drinks, specifically Monster. And I'm not for energy drinks. Like, I do not promote them whatsoever. But watching the first 2 seconds of this video, I'm like, there is no way that this is what's happening with these drinks.
So what is he doing with these drinks? What do you mean?
I'm trying to think. It's just ridiculous things. Like, it will dissolve whatever. And,
gotcha. Okay.
Oh God, I can't even think. Like something stupid, like it will dissolve the outside of an egg within seconds. Okay. Like the shell of an egg. And I'm just like, no, that's not possible. But people are sharing this thing like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, no, I don't promote energy drinks, but this is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Like this is way too far gone. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. We've hit a stall. I just want to take a moment. I mentioned before we got on here, I mentioned that I had clicked on a website, and Kristy laughed at me because she thought it was one of quote unquote those websites, but it wasn't. I was on somebody's Facebook page, and it was a bogus page. It wasn't actually their business page. It was something that somebody else had created because they wanted to create a review, so they made up this other page. Anyways, and there was a website linked to the page, and it was like place-web.com, and I foolishly clicked on it, and now I keep getting these updates on my computer screen in front of me that is saying that it's actually trying to tell me that it's an antivirus program, and it wants me to install it, and it won't go away no matter how many times I say no, and I don't know where it is in my computer, so I don't know how to get rid of it, and it's driving me crazy.
And I cannot help you with that.
No, I can't help you with that either, apparently. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Or I'll find somebody who can figure it out. What are you scrolling right now?
I was just looking to see if there was anything that I could talk more about.
That you could what?
Talk more about.
Talk more about. All right, let's take a look. Let's scroll. Let's see what we find here. Okay, so one thing I've noticed, is that as I'm scrolling, I'm seeing a lot more sponsored ads lately. And I mean, I'm someone who